and welcome to PC Politics, Real, Raw, Relevant. Brought to you by Spectacular Magazine. I'm your host, Phyllis Coley, CEO and publisher of Spectacular Magazine. This show, PC Politics, we talk to candidates, we talk to politicians, we talk to the voters, but through all of that is to talk about the issues, those issues that are important to you. So today, I am talking with a candidate for Durham County Commissioner, Attorney Patrick Byker. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Wonderful to be here.
Thank you. So, Patrick, how long have you been a lawyer, an attorney?
About 25, 30 years, Phyllis.
So, talk to me about your experience. You know, what type of law, what do you practice, that sort of thing?
Yes, I really appreciate that question. I'm a real estate lawyer, and most of my work, not all of it, but most of it has been helping companies and real estate developments get through the entitlement process in Durham. One of the best examples of that is the Lowe's Home Improvement Center on the corner of Fayetteville Road and Martin Luther King Parkway.
Okay.
I was blessed to be approached by Lowe's to help them with locating a new store in Durham. And I was thrilled about that because Lowe's is a good employer. They pay a living wage. 80% of their jobs are full-time with full benefits, and the person at running the cash register gets the same benefits as the CEO. So I was thrilled to work for that company and bring 200 good-paying jobs to Durham.
And where it's located.
And where it's located,
yes.
Close to our African-American neighborhoods. So I had to meet with Partners Against Crime District 4, and they supported the project. I had to meet with the Emery Woods neighborhood, and they supported the project. And lo and behold, when I went to City Hall and asked the planning department, they recommended denial. And so I had to fight for that project, and you can see it standing today. Mayor Bell and the colleagues on the City Council agreed with our arguments, agreed with our position, and I think it's been an overall benefit for our community. And if I'm elected to Durham County Board of Commissioners, I plan to bring that real world experience of bringing good paying jobs to all of Durham County, north, south, east, west. We do not have an unemployment problem in Durham, we have an underemployment problem in Durham.
What do you mean by that?
We have too many people who are working hard but are not making enough money.
Okay.
Long story short. And so my skill set is to work with companies that want to locate in Durham, get them through the process, and hopefully they can open up businesses that'll pay more than people are earning in their current positions. That's what I'm committed to. And we do have a process in Durham that we have good people working in our local governments, but it's a very burdensome process. And I have to tell you, I've been doing this for 25 years, and it's not getting any easier. So I want to work on the process, make sure we have a process that's fair to everyone, but make sure it's efficient, so that if people want to bring companies want to bring good paying jobs here, it's not a marathon, it's a sprint, and they can get over the finish line, they can open their store, and they can provide better paying jobs for our people.
Now, what about training people for those jobs?
Well, I'm glad you raised that question. My son went to Durham Technical Community College, took some classes, and he got a culinary certificate. So I'm very familiar with Durham Tech. One of my dearest friends was Fail Win, and if you go to my website, you'll see the lead quote is, "What gets measured gets done. Fail Win Jr."
Yes.
So I have worked with Durham Tech for a long time. I used to work at the Durham Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development, and so we were hand in glove with Fail Win back then, and then worked also with Mr. Bill Ingram, and he's obviously just retired. Tremendous leader, tremendous loss, but I'm sure Durham Tech will continue to be an incredible asset for Durham community, and I look forward to working with them with any opportunities that we can bring.
You mentioned your website. Why don't you go ahead and give that website address now?
Yeah, that's www.byketoprogress.com. BYKETOPROGRESS.com. My last name is BYKER, and I wanted to use that as a device to hopefully interest people in our campaign. And you can see, in addition to the quote by Dr. Fail Win, there's also "Be seen, be brief, be seated." I've already got the seated part down, and that was by my dear friend Howard Clement. It puts everything in perspective. Sometimes politicians have an inflated ego, and I was privileged to be Howard's friend for 25 years, and he taught me the importance of being a public servant with an emphasis on the word servant.
Yes, and being able to serve. What type of changes would you like to see, or do you plan to implement as far as our public schools?
Well, that's a great question, Phyllis, because I'm really not here to second guess the Durham County Board of Education. I think we've got great people on the school board, and they set policy for the Durham Public Schools. I will tell you one anecdote that has bothered me for a while. A friend of mine at church was a math teacher at Neal Middle School.
Okay.
And it was time for the end of grade test to happen, so he asked my wife and I to go help tutor the kids over lunch break so they'd be better prepared for the end of grade test. And I was a little bit surprised that most of the kids were looking at their phones while I was up at the blackboard tutoring. So to the extent I have a bully pulpit to say, you know what, when kids are at school, they really don't need to have their phones with them. I would be inclined to use that, but I'm not here to second guess the school board. I do want to use my skill set to increase Durham County's tax base so that we can have more funding for our schools without having to do a tax rate increase.
And so that would happen through what you were talking about with the economic
Correct.
development and bringing
Absolutely.
in those corporations and they play. But a lot of times the counties or the municipalities or whatever give such deep incentives to get the businesses here that doesn't happen. How
Yeah.
can you ensure about that?
Well, I'm very good at numbers. I'm glad you raised that question because I want to stress for all of the voters in Durham County. I've been blessed to live here for 25 years, and it's been my privilege to be the chairman of the Durham Area Transit Authority. That was our city's bus system. Did that in the 1990s and early 2000s. I then went on to be the chairman of the Capital Program Advisory Committee for the city to make sure city-funded projects were on time and on budget. I then moved on to the Convention Center Authority, and I chaired that for a number of years and dramatically reduced the taxpayer subsidy for the convention center. And now I currently serve as vice chair of Discover Durham, our Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I was the treasurer for the most part of the Durham 150 celebration. I hope many people had a chance to go to one of the Durham 150 events, and I
Yes.
made sure we brought that in under budget. And so to answer your question, what we need to do is manage the budget so that we have the resources that we need for job training, for more funding for our school. I want to see our teachers paid more. Who doesn't? Everybody wants that. But we have to be cognizant there are a lot of people in Durham, especially older folks, who live on a fixed income. And so if you raise taxes by $200, that's a real hit on their wallet or their purse. And so I'm very sensitive to that, Phyllis. I do not want to raise taxes as a first resort. I want to raise taxes as a last resort because we have so many people. Our population is getting older, and that's just a fact. Many of the people moving to Durham are age 55 and up, and so they're living on Social Security or they're living on their retirement. And, you know, I appreciate that. Sometimes it's hard for those people to make ends meet. And to be honest, I don't hear many people on the campaign trail talking about that. We have got fantastic health care in Durham. We've got a great airport. We've got a good climate. And so we attract retired people from all over the country, maybe all over the world. And it's great that they come here. It's great that they invest here. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of folks, especially people of color, who are on a fixed income.
Yes.
And so to raise taxes on them to pay for this program, that program, whatever it is, we got to be careful about that. We've got to be careful. I have not heard anybody on the campaign trail say, you know what, there's a county department and it's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want you to cut that. Never hear that. I never hear that. So a lot of people have ideas on how to spend money. They don't have ideas on how to save money. But I bring up my experience on managing local budgets for the last 20 years to let you know that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing in addition to practicing real estate law for Durham, is making sure taxpayer dollars are spent efficiently and effectively. And so that's why I'm running for Durham County Commissioner. We have a $456 million general fund, okay? And about $146 million of it goes to the Durham Public Schools. So that means 1 out of 3 taxpayer dollars you're paying already goes to Durham Public Schools. Now, I'm not complaining about that. I'm not objecting to that. I'm just saying we've got to be stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And the fact that our community lost $150 million on a light rail scheme, I think that's a problem. And I wish people would talk about that more. I hear the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People talk about it. I hear the Friends of Durham talk about it. But a lot of people just don't seem to notice that happen. those were our taxpayer dollars. We paid that $150 million every time we bought a shirt, every time we bought a pair of shoes, every time we bought a cordless drill, every time we bought a vacuum cleaner. 0.5% of that purchase went to the light rail fund, and it's gone. And I think that's a shame. And I want to make sure that we have business leadership and real world experience like I have to make sure that does not happen again.
Thank you. This has been so enlightening to me, and the way that you speak. And yes, it's no different than the way we run our home. We have to be a fiscal conservative. We have to understand that how much comes in, so you know how much to go out, and then you're able to save. So there's something there when something happens, for that proverbial rainy day. You know,
Absolutely.
we need to do that. Thank you so much, and I really would like you to come back in one of those other capacities. And I'm not, predicting anything, but in one of those other capacities to talk about that, because I'm really very interested in understanding that $150 million, and we're not going to have a light rail. Okay, so I really would. But thank you. I have been visiting with Durham County Commissioner candidate Patrick Byker. We've told you his website. Check him out. I'm Phyllis Coley, and until next time, see ya.
Good.
Spectacular Magazine. We on the scene.